In this video, I'm going to be talking to Pip and Tim, who are competing in the 2020 King of the Hammers race here in the Johnson Valley of California. Now, they've come all the way from Australia and they've got an amazing story to tell. Here at madmatt four-wheel drive, I'm all about educating and building the four-wheel drive community so we can wheel well. I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you can get the notifications on the channel. So, Pip, you guys have been racing for quite some years. You've got an extensive amount of history. Can you just tell us, what were those early days? What did it look like?
Matt, the early days for us started in, our competition started in 2006. So we first, we were going to the well Australian known Tough Truck Challenge, basically from when that first began, I believe, Tim?
Yep. Yeah, we haven't missed one yet.
Back in the early days, so just spectating. 2006, we decided to build a truck. We built an orange FJ40.
I remember that.
Chev, Dana 60, 14 bolt on 44s. We actually, so that started off, that was a very fresh build for us. We actually unloaded that truck in Melbourne and drove it from Melbourne to Tough Truck to run it in.
There you go. That was the good old days of Tough Truck, wasn't it?
That was good old days.
Yeah.
So cruising down the highway with window nets. It was early hours in the morning. We felt a bit safe. We all took turns in driving it. 44-inch boggers flying down the highway to run the engine in on the way to Tough Truck in 2006.
There was no plan B, was there? If you broke something up there, it was just like, oh well.
That's it. Yeah. So that started in 2006 for us, and we also started in the We Rock and Oz Rock series. We built a buggy that year also. So for us, we did jump into it quite heavily with two styles of trucks for the 2006 season, and we had a blast. Realised that me and Tim's been with me from the start. We had something special going on. We understand each other. We can yell at each other when we need to yell at each other. I get his tone of voice. He gets mine. And
so it's a team synergy that's really coming together and making it work well. So what was the, I've been to every Tough Truck Challenge. I've never competed. I've commentated a couple of times. But what was the first year you guys took out first place? Because I know you guys have done it a number of times.
Yeah, we have, Matt. Matt, we sold off that FJ40. We only actually competed 1 year in that, in 2006, and that inspired us to go, well, what we think we've built is an oversized trail rig. So we decided to go the whole hog, and then we debuted our new build, which was the white Jeep that people know of as the Just Customs Jeep, in 2014. So 2014 was our first year, Matt, that we debuted the car, and we won that year.
Right.
We had no issues. 2015, we had transmission issues. We decided to change up the transmission for that year, and that didn't go so well for us. The build on the transmission didn't work at Tough Truck.
Okay.
So we ended up in a flop on the night stage there. I do believe we still came maybe 5th or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Still top 10.
Yeah, it was still a top 10 finish, so we were still pretty proud of ourselves. And then we fixed up that transmission 2016, 17, 18.
Yeah, right.
You got the trifecta.
And then you sold the car.
We did. The car went to Africa, went to Kenya.
Is that where it went? I didn't know.
Of all places.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be a bit out of place over there.
Yeah. Well, they got the rock crawling scene and everything over there, Matt.
Oh, okay.
So. It's not just lions and tigers.
It was hippopotamuses when I was there. But hey, so let's get into this story. So you've obviously seen the Ultra 4 racing starting to emerge. You've probably seen Pete Antonek and his car build, and you guys undoubtedly know each other very well, and so I guess you've started seeing this come on your radar, and you've gone, we're hitting the pinnacle of the Tough Truck stuff. We know how to win that. We want a new challenge. Is that where we're at?
Yeah. Basically, that's the backbone of it, Matt. We did win Tough Truck 3 times, which was fantastic, and we actually love that event. Great family event that is amazing for Australia. And we just decided it was time for a change for us.
Yep.
So there was nothing else in it but that, and we just we started going to KOH back 2017 as a spectator.
Right.
And we met some fantastic people, and there's a whole nother story there.
Yeah. So what's some of that story for you, Tim?
We originally came over here for a friend's 40th and surprised Pip with tickets.
Okay.
So his 40th birthday was, we gave him tickets. I think we left 2 days later, so he had no idea. We turned up here 2 days before the gates opened.
Okay.
No idea where we're going. 11:30 at night. Few beers under their belts. Him and the other chap, Benny Dyer. I was driving. All of a sudden, Pip was out of the RV. Where's he gone?
Ears in hand.
Yep. There was a little campfire like way over there. We're like, that'll be him. So we went to this campfire. There he was, talking.
Is that
Talking
right?
to 3 or 4 chaps around this fire, and just from there,
Yep.
we got to know them. They invited us to camp in their little camp spot.
Yep.
A couple of days later, that was the Wicks family racing team.
Okay, I've seen them in your pits there now.
Yeah, they are.
Absolutely
Still
fantastic racing team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And next door to us was Rufus Racing, Zandy Willems. And when he turned up 2 days later, he also welcomed us in.
Okay.
And just from there, that first year, those two teams who didn't know each other either, so the three of us all
Formed.
came
Three
together.
teams. Yeah.
We all
Wow.
helped each other out.
Yeah.
And then the next few years, it just got tighter and tighter and tighter.
Yeah.
And now we're where we're at today.
That's amazing. And that's the story, you know, like I myself, this is my second time to come to King of the Hammers, and I'm just wandering through camp, and I've met Matt, who drives that Hell's Bells, you know, Ultra 4 on 54-inch tyres. Like, it's wrong on so many levels, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
And greatest guys, greatest team, and they've just welcomed me into their family, and that's what I'm finding here at this event. Obviously, for you guys, it's turned into a family that has welcomed you in. And I've been in your pits this morning, filming, and you guys, everybody knows you. I just say, you know, he's seen Pip, Tim around. Yeah, he's over there. That's fantastic.
You're right, Matt. The people that we've got to know here over the last 3 years, they are family already.
Yeah.
You know, they've welcomed us in with open arms. They've trusted us to swing spanners on their trucks, to listen to our ideas as we listen to theirs, and as a 3 race teams to come together. And we're all from different parts of, you know, the teams are, obviously we're from Australia.
Yes.
Rufus Racing is from Texas, and the Wicks family racing is from Reno. So
Right.
we're at three corners of the world almost.
Yep.
And
That one night.
Yeah.
just that one night.
With 2 beers,
Yep.
Yeah,
running away from
and
an...
we lost him at the gate. And next thing you know, these 3 teams
Yeah.
are one.
And now I think you guys have got 5 cars in the pits. Is that
We
right?
do, yeah. We have 5 4,400 cars flying
That's
under
huge.
Rufus Racing. Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge. So, so you must have come, I'm just doing some math now, which I'm hopeless at, but you must have come 3 times as spectators before you bought the car you're racing into now? The car behind us?
That's right. Twice.
So you,
Twice,
okay,
and
so you
then this
visit...
is our third. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. 2018, I think was 2018, 2009. 2018.
Right, okay. So let's just talk about the purchasing of the car process. What's, like, you know, you could probably buy, you could probably build. You obviously got the capabilities to build cars.
Yep.
But you've gone and purchased a car that's got a pretty good heritage.
A bit of pedigree, yeah, you're right. Matt, I got to take a little step back where how that idea of purchasing a car come up. The Wicks family racing last year, they were entered in in the 4800 class here at Wicks.
That's the Everyman Challenge class.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they knew our background and been successful in the rocks in Australia. So they basically the night before race day, I brought a helmet and a suit over just in case. You know,
I'm hoping.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that was packed in there.
Could I get a call?
It was amazing. So, and I did get a call.
Really?
Eric Wicks from Wicks Family Racing basically knocked on my camper door and said, "Hey, how about you drive the rocks in my car tomorrow morning?"
Really?
And I was like, wow.
Oh wow! What a privilege! What
I
a
know,
trust!
That's right. And he did the desert loops, and then with his brother sitting in as a navigator, Chris Wicks, he jumped out of the seat. I'd never driven this car before. I'd never sat in it. Eric's a big bloke. Eric said,
I can't get to the brake.
Yeah. Well,
Eric's a big man. Eric's a really big man.
Pip's a big man. Don't be mean.
yeah.
Eric's big compared to Pip.
Yeah.
He's cushion.
He's buddy. He'd be 8 inches taller than me.
Yeah.
So I jumped in this. I went to the pits, jumped in his car overnight, and went, whoop, righto. I think I need a few blankets. I folded up the blankets, got a bit of a setup happening. So at the changeover at mid-race, stuffed me blankets in there, jumped in.
Got you cuddly.
You got to get this right. I hadn't pushed the accelerator pedal on this car.
Yeah.
I'd never felt the brakes. I've never driven it.
Yeah, and you're going into rock where those items are critical.
The generosity of that bloke will never, amazing.
Right.
I thank him to this day, and I blame him to this day for lighting the fire that we have today.
So, how did you go?
Was
it worth putting you in that seat for that race? Was that strategy worth it?
It was a bittersweet, amazing experience. We ended up in the rock trails. We ended up the transmission developed a crack, and we leaked out transmission fluid. So, but we got our 30 miles in the doesn't sound like a long distance, but in the rock trails it is.
Yeah.
We got our 30 miles of experience. Eric,
you're obviously just hard on the gear, mate. What was it like for you working with like you guys are tight as a team, working with a different navvy that you've never worked with before? Did you just go, like, I know for myself, and I'm not trying to compare myself to your standard at all, but I know for myself, I don't trust spotters very well unless I know that they can wheel.
Yep.
You know, so I navvy for Milo at Broken Bits Racing in our Ultra 4, and we work well together. But it developed over time that we worked out language and cues and how each other needed. So how did you find that under pressure on a racetrack in a mate's car that you can't reach the brake pedal on with a navvy that you've never worked with?
It was a new experience. And I guess that we took it on, and in that 30 odd miles that we did, we weren't going real fast. We were in the rock trails, so we did get to talk a lot, and we basically brainstormed it as we jumped in the car. We brainstormed it and worked out what his calls were, what my calls were.
Right.
Because the first one we had to get down was left and right, passenger and driver.
Yes.
Had to get that through our head because that's opposite.
Yeah.
So, but we had a ball. We actually, they're fantastic people. We'd spent the whole King of the Hammers the year before. Started developing a relationship over the phone.
Yes.
Strengthened it, I guess you'd say, and so we got to get a good feel for each other before we jumped in the seat a bit, and we just flowed.
Yeah,
it was
beautiful.
Fantastic.
That's so cool. So so back to the story. That little sideline was awesome, but back to the story. So you're now looking for a car.
Yeah. So Eric lit the fire for us, and then we dealing with Zandy from Rufus Racing. We started to put the feelers out there just to say, hey, I'm gonna sell my tough truck. So that went on the market. That sold. So it gave me a bit of cash to fund a new project.
Yep.
We wanted to race instead of taking a few years to build. So we got the boys in Texas to put the feelers out for us, and they found a car that was going to come on the market, currently owned by Darryl Gray. And he was the dirt Dirt Riot Series champion. He was going for back-to-back champion in this car that we have today. So it's got a bit of pedigree. It was built in 2013. It's not the newest car.
Yep.
2014. 2013 it was built by Lauren Healy.
Okay.
So very well respected off-road racer. So 2014, Lauren Healy won KOH, this event that we're in today.
In this car?
In this car.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's done some miles.
Yeah, so it knows its way around.
It knows its way around, yeah. So basically got involved backwards and forwards with emails, phone calls. Ended up settling on a car with Darryl Gray. Few flights backwards and forwards to settle the deal, and then we basically the car was paid for, done. Rufus Racing took the car under their wing for us in their shop, and then basically once it got to their shop, I flew back over and stripped the car down.
Right.
So
okay.
I was there for a week. We got it stripped down. Me and the boys over there got it stripped down over that week period to get what we needed to get sent off, to get checked, rebuilt.
Yep.
And then the boys actually put it back together for me while I was back home.
Right. So I'm assuming that involved a freshen up of the motor, transmission, diffs, transfer case.
Yeah, it was the diffs and all that were relatively fresh. The third members, the automatic transmission, which is a Gearworks Turbo 400. That was that had to be sent back to Gearworks just for a freshen up, just for a check, because it's one of the most vital parts that gets the biggest work out on these Ultra 4 trucks. So there was no question for us to send that back to Gearworks to get it checked over and rebuilt as a safety.
So what's the motor spec? What's the build? What are we looking at there?
So the motor spec, Matt, is it's a Texas Speed engine. So they get it starts with an LS7 block, and they bore it out and put their own style of liners in that block. It's got a Texas Speed cam, Texas Speed spec heads. So it's I believe it's a 435 cube. This engine's been on the dyno and it punched out 720.
Okay, at the flywheel.
At the flywheel, yes,
okay.
That's correct.
Yep.
So.
And so we may as well, while we're talking about these sort of specs, run through the specs of the transfer case, the diffs, the ratios, how that's all set up. And
yep. So it runs Dana 60s front and rear with Gearworks centres for the axles. With
are they selectable or spooled?
They're spooled. Front and rear is spooled in this car. Just simplifies it.
Yeah,
you don't
it does.
have to muck around with switches.
And you know what the car's going to do every time. It's just going to be fully locked.
It's locked. Yeah,
and that's it. Yep.
So
for those that don't know, a spool is basically, it basically joins the crown wheel to the axles. There's no differential action in there. So, and then tyres?
Tyres, we're running the BFG KR3 SRs. So they're the BFG top of the line off-road racing tyre. They're a sticky compound 40-inch, and we also run a BFG internal tyre liner, which is, if the people don't know, it's basically a small tyre within a tyre, like a run flat.
Yep.
So if we
so you can run flat. Does it also act as a bead lock, or are they external bead locks?
They're external bead locks.
Okay.
It just acts as a run flat.
Yep.
So that if we do get a flat, we can still make it back to pits. I believe it stands about 4 inches tall.
Okay, it just keeps the rim off, gives you a bit of steerage.
Yep.
Yeah, and or drive, I guess, as well. Now, you're running a winch on the front of the vehicle?
We are. We do run a worn 9,500 pound.
Okay.
So with a synthetic rope, just for safety and ease of running it out on the circuit. Then it's. Obviously, we got the Texas Speed engine. We moved back into the Turbo 400, fully manualised. The Gearworks Turbo 400.
And the transfer case
is a twin stick Atlas.
Okay.
So,
and then what's the suspension design? Whose suspension and what's the sort of setup there?
So we've got the triple bypass Kings and King coilovers all round with King bump stops. And then we've got a Jazz fuel cell up the back. We've got PRP harnesses, PRP seats, PRP gear bags. So basically a lot of the stuff that the PRP sell, it's all in that car. So
Yeah.
We've tried to keep it simple and try and keep the good brands in the car.
Yep.
And
yeah. I actually got the privilege of going for a tour through the PRP factory just the other day when I landed, and gee, they do some good gear. They're just really, really nice, and the way they do it. And I was amazed how much is shipping out the door each day.
Yeah.
They're selling a lot of kit. Sorry to interrupt the video, but you see, First Class RV Rentals have made this video possible by helping me get here to the United States, to King of the Hammers. Well, I tell you what, if you're looking to come from any of the countries of the world to King of the Hammers here in California, United States, well, these are the guys that are going to hook you up with a great caravan, or RV as they like to call them, and basically Andy Blass and his team are going to make you feel like you're at home here in Hammertown. They've totally looked after me the last 2 years I've been here to King of the Hammers. They set up a compound here with caravans, RVs, motorhomes. They're all just set up here. We've got rock bouncers as part of the crew. You've got Ultra 4 cars, and just a great team of guys and girls who have come from all over the United States and all over the world, who are all camping together, making new friends, and just having a fantastic time. You know what? Andy even gets in this van here, and oftentimes he'll cook us up breakfast and dinner. It's just a really great family environment. But he's got RVs right across Hammertown, people who are renting them and just enjoying the whole King of the Hammers experience. So if you're looking to come to King of the Hammers or anywhere on the west coast of the United States, well, these are the guys to get in touch with, I reckon. They've certainly looked after me and many of my mates.
Yeah.
Now, Tim, as Navi, what's I suppose two questions, but let's start with the first one. What are your tools of your trade, if we put it that way, when you're in the Navi seat? What's at your hands? What's going on? What have you got to use?
So, for me in this car,
yes,
I've got all the gauges that's at my disposal.
Okay, so that'd be fuel pressure, oil pressure, temperatures.
Yep. Volts.
Okay.
All that. I've got the GPS, which we have 2 of in there.
Okay.
We've got a Lowrance, it's the HDS 9, and we've also got a backup lead nav.
Yep.
So as a backup option there.
Okay, so are you going to be running both of them? You can see
running parallel.
Okay. But totally
so if we
separate.
have an issue with one, we can just swap straight over to the other. 2 separate systems.
Okay.
So
yep.
I've also got all the switches I've got to keep an eye on, make sure that if the temperatures are getting high, I've got the fans on and that. It's no good if Pip's got to be watching gauges and the road where we're going. So I need him to concentrate on where we're going.
Yep.
And so I can do all the talking to him.
Yep.
And just make sure everything's running smooth.
So what does your role look like? Now, I understand that you guys haven't got a lot of seat time, and certainly very little race time. I think I saw the first, what was it, 3 minutes and 4 seconds this morning of high-speed race time. But what's your role going to be, and how do you see that working out for you?
I basically see my role as looking after the car, like the immediate car, where we are now. So Pip's role is where we're going.
Okay.
I don't need to be looking out. I do, to a degree, but primarily that's his role. My role is to make sure the car is going to keep going straight forward.
Okay.
Like I said, all the gauges, the GPS, if he's got a talk, we've obviously got the intercom in there from Rugged.
Yep.
And that's nice and clear, so I can speak to him and give him voice.
Yep.
Of what's going on in the car. So I'll probably have to get out a couple of times.
Yep.
In the rocks. But
nah, you guys are good in the rocks. You'll be right.
Yeah.
So, do you see that you're going to be able to largely leave Pip to manage the driving, and you're not really going to have to say, go take this line or that line?
We've because we've worked so long together, and it'll be similar to Tough Truck is how I envisage it. A lot of the time, I can leave him to drive, and he knows the car. I mean, we've only had approximately 6 hours in the seat in this one, which is a bit different, but he's a quick learner.
Yep.
I trust him that if he wants even the slightest bit of help, he will ask.
Okay.
So I believe that he can concentrate on that.
Right.
I don't need to be there to tell him that. I need to make sure that car's running right.
Okay. So now the other thing I've been wondering about is fatigue management. This is, I mean, I saw last year, Mark Peters and Mitch Thorpe get out of the car after the race. Like they finished, and so good to see. They were wrecked.
Yeah.
Like absolutely physically wrecked. There was nothing left. How are you guys at this stage? I'm not trying to be rude here, but I don't know if you know what you're in for, do you? You'd have some idea, but
No, you're right. Yeah.
So what's your thinking at the moment? How are you thinking you're going to manage that?
I guess, Matt, we've got energy shakes and things like that.
Yep.
We've already started getting all our food and nutrients and water organised for the race.
How are you going to eat through one of those helmets? Do you have to stop?
The other boys taught us a few tricks. So they gaffer tape food to the roof
of the car, right?
To the roof. So
okay, but you
snack food.
What?
Up underneath, squeeze it in. Won't be eating an apple.
Your job will be making the roast beef sandwiches.
Yeah.
Would you like mayo?
Yeah.
What about having a piss? Have you ever pissed in a catheter?
Not yet, but I reckon I'll be a fast learner.
Yeah.
Mate, there comes a point, I reckon, where you're going to hit a bump and it's like, I just got to do this.
Yeah. I've had one tip off one of the boys. They said, don't hang on too long, because if you got too much pressure, the end of that tube is just going to flip all over the cab.
I've been there and got it wrong. Yeah.
And then the air brings it up.
So, yeah.
That's the one thing I just can't get my head around, is pissing in the car that I might possibly be having to fix in 5 minutes time, you know.
Especially when you pull up the pits and the boys go, geez, there's a water leak.
Nah. Oh dear. Okay. Okay, so let's just talk about a little bit about strategy for the race. Well, actually, let's go back a step. Let's get this in order. Qualifying. You've just done the qualifying.
Yep.
I already told the time. People probably already know it. 3 minutes and 4 seconds. I believe that was correct.
Yeah,
is that the official time?
3 minutes 2.
3 minutes 2. Okay. So that's the official time. So that's probably going to put you about where you wanted, mid-pack.
Currently, there's a lot of cars still left to go, but I believe there'd been something like 40, maybe 50 through, and we're sitting in 11th.
Oh, how good is that?
We're over the moon, mate.
You should be.
Absolutely over the moon.
Yeah.
The boys have done a cracker job, you know.
Yep.
All the boys, as you know, I've talked to you earlier, we had 17 of our mates have flown over to help us work on the car.
Yeah.
You know, that's...
Well, we just did the Aussies at the Hammers photo for the Aussies at the Hammers Facebook page.
Yeah.
And if you're not on it, get on it. But I think that someone counted up at roughly 36 Aussies that came to that shoot.
Yeah.
I'll count up on the photo, later on, but that was a good turnout.
Yeah, great turnout.
So, yeah.
So it just proves how much this event is getting out to the world.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So, okay, so qualifying was an absolute roaring success.
Yep.
Obviously, we now need to pace ourselves, because qualifying is a very different event to a race that could potentially last. Do they give you 10 hours? Is it 10 hours race time? 14 hours race time. So you could potentially be beaten on your body for 14 hours to finish. And obviously, I don't think you're planning to be first.
No, we're not looking to come first.
Second will be
you
okay.
You never know what, stranger things have happened. But
that would be absolutely, we'd be partying.
First fast race, first KOH.
Yeah.
Going with a win.
Yeah, wouldn't that be good? No,
yeah.
what is the strategy for the main race? How do you think you're going to tackle it?
Matt, we're gonna tackle it, and we're gonna look at it as our own race. Act like we're out there on our own.
Okay.
That's exactly how we're gonna approach it. So, someone can go ripping past us. That's fine.
Just don't let that red mist come down.
We don't. The wreckers for checkers, or checkers, they'll fly past us, and we'll pass them later.
Right.
We really want to tone it back, even though we might be 11th fastest or in the top 20 out of 100, 120 cars.
Yep.
We are really going to concentrate on reining that back in so that we can make the car last.
Yep.
There's no point being the first broken bloke to the 30-mile marker.
Yeah.
So we really will rein it back in. Keep an eye on our speed. If we need to start stepping it up a bit in the later laps, we will, if we have to make it home in time, so we don't do that.
You'll have a lot of seat experience of the car. I think you'll really be dialed into how the car's performing and what you can do with it at that point. Would that be a fair comment?
Yeah, that's right. By the time that we come round to that, I believe this race is 210 or something miles completed, this race. So if we get to our last lap, our third lap, and we really need to start stepping it up, we're going to be, we're going to be 120, 130 miles in.
Yep.
So yes, we are going to be fatigued
Yes.
and probably just screaming to get out of the car.
I imagine your
if we
body's
can start
hurting.
stepping it up then, if we need to, that'll be our game plan.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So, but otherwise, it's going to be conserve.
Right.
And just have that one thing. All we want to do is finish.
Yep.
That is our win.
Full sticker.
Yeah.
So, what sort of? I mean, there's two elements to the race. Essentially, there's the open desert, the open country, which out here is just those whoops that they just beat on you.
Yeah.
And then you've got the rocks. What sort of speed do you think would be the right speed for the car in the desert? And what sort of? I mean, the rocks, you can't really put a speed on it, I guess. The rocks are so variable, but yeah.
Yep. I guess, Matt, the speed, obviously the speed for in the whoops is different to every car. I reckon that we'll be sitting at about, I'd like to think that we'll do an average of 50 to 60 miles an hour.
So that's 100 kilometres an hour, roughly.
Down the in the corrugated in the whooped sand trails.
Yep.
So if we can sort of manage that, if that's a little bit fast, whoops, different spacings, different speed. But if that's a little bit fast, we'll even rein it back more than that.
Yep.
In the trails, we'll be just looking for a nice, consistent pace, basically like a fast walk.
Yep.
So,
okay, so just a nice flowing, enough
without
momentum
beating on the
to roll over the rocks without beating on the car.
Yeah. There's a little bit, sometimes some of the obstacles that they've picked for us for this year at the Hammers are pretty gnarly.
Yep.
So we need a little bit of that momentum. In the same breath, don't beat on the car too hard.
Well, gentlemen, it's going to be an absolute cracking Friday. Whatever way it pans out, like, this is the excitement of racing. You just don't know what Friday holds. But all of us from Aussies at the Hammers absolutely cheering you guys on. We want you to finish as much as you guys do. I mean, you guys have really put your bodies and your everything on the line to make it happen for yourselves. Yeah. I imagine there's a couple of people, and in particular, you'd really like to give some shout outs to and thanks to. So, Tim, for you.
First of all, have to thank my wife. Without her, I wouldn't be able to come.
We're crying here, guys. It's all good.
But most of all,
brothers. Yeah, brothers. And how about for you, man?
Yeah, same thing. My wife, Coop, she basically pushes me. She pushes me to do this.
Amazing.
And my kids.
Yeah.
I've said it in a previous interview. One of the most proudest moments I've had to do with racing wasn't winning a triple win at Tough Truck. It was, this is going to be stupid. It was looking down and seeing my kids with tears in their eyes because their dad's up there on stage in first place again and again, and they're that proud. It makes things worthwhile. And we teach these things to the kids and say anything's possible if you put in the hard yards.
Yeah, and they see the hard yards, they experience the hard yards. They know what it's like for Dad to be out in the shed and not in the house at all hours of the day and night.
Yeah.
They know what a racer's life is like.
Yeah.
And but undoubtedly, they're probably turning into racers themselves. Would that be?
Yeah,
I don't know your family.
Yeah, that's right. My oldest boy is Jesse. And then I've got Tyler, and my little girl is Charlie.
Right.
So those three are behind me all the way. They love it,
Yeah.
and yeah. So
any sponsors we should acknowledge? Obviously,
we
Rufus
sure
Racing.
We sure do, Matt. EcoStaff LLC in Texas. They're without them, it just wouldn't happen. You
Right.
know? So they're right behind, and they're the backbone of the Rufus Racing. So that's who keeps all this afloat and gives us a big hand. So we've also got from Australia, we've got impressions.ai, which they're running with a lot of imagery and getting stuff up for us and getting our social media out there, along
Yep.
with guys like yourself.
Yep.
So then we've got Roadrunner Off-Road from Australia also.
Yep.
Sell all off-road componentry for all types of, not just Australian, you know, all over the world vehicles. And their products are fantastic, you know. So they've come on board with us this year. So with those three guys, it just wouldn't be possible, Matt.
Yeah.
So they're, you know, I've had talks with them, and they're helping make dreams come true. You know, for us, we're just the guys behind the wheel.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So we.
But you've got the ability to do the right thing with a wheel, so that's
that
why
way,
you're doing
yeah.
it. You know.
So
Well, gentlemen, I've absolutely loved this conversation. It's fascinating getting into that backstory and really just getting into your heads a bit. And I think the people at home certainly will have enjoyed that. Now, you got to head on over to Justice Motorsport, is that correct,
That's
on
correct,
Facebook? That's their following. But make sure you also follow Rufus Racing, their Facebook page as well, so you can stay up to date there. And the Mad Matt Fall Drive page, that's my page, follow that as well. So, and make sure you hit that subscribe button to my YouTube channel that you're watching this on as well. So, guys, we wish you absolutely all the very best on Friday.
cheers, Matt. Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks, mate.
We
Thank you.
absolutely are all behind you. We're going to be cheering you on. And afterwards, no ifs, buts, maybes, but the people that have watched this video want to find out what happened on race day. So we'll get you back up. But I think that one we'll do it inside a caravan with a heater on, with a cold beer, and
That sounds good.
and we'll just have a good old chat about how the actual race went down.
We'll show you that full sticker.
Yeah.
That's the go.
I'm Mad Matt. Stay safe on the trails.